Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Nova 24 to 28, 2025. Expect Alex Kyriakis being targeted and Sean Douglas Brady making a big move. As we always do on Early Edition Day, we talk about what's coming the rest of this week, and then we dive into next week, which is, by the way, the very last week of November sweeps. So, look for huge action coming this last week and a half. Wednesday, November 19th, we've got Johnny DiMera and Chanel Dupree struggling as new parents. Their hands are more than full. It was a little harder than they anticipated. We all know if you've had a kid, being a parent to an infant can be challenging. Sometimes they just cry for no reason, like the air is bothering them, you know? So, I do wonder if Johnny and Chanel are going to reach out to Leo Stark and Javi Hernandez for advice. Or maybe Rafe Hernandez and Gabby Hernandez. Maybe Paulina Price or Abe Carver will stop by with some tips. Also, Sean returns to Salem, and he is supporting Belle Black through this Marlena Evans medical crisis. I wonder if Sean and Belle are going to get closer. Maybe they'll rekindle their on-again, off-again relationship, since she seems to be well and done with EJ DiMera at this point. We're also waiting to see if Marlena is diagnosed with Lyme disease, if it's confirmed. Somebody tries to rob Cat Green, but she fights them off. She has had ISA training, so it would be kind of interesting if she really hurt them. I do wonder if it might be Liam. He is the young criminal that is supposed to be mentored by Abe, but he keeps skipping out on the meetings, so Liam may be out doing crime and has not learned a lesson at all. EJ reaches out to Johnny, which Sammy Brady told him not to do. Maybe that's why. And EJ's mom, Susan Banks, drops by the DiMera mansion to sass her son. I wonder if she's warning him to keep his distance from Johnny like he's been asked to do. Plus, Susan may sense that her precious Elvis Jr. is doing bad things in that new clinic, with whatever dead family member they have got in that big old test tube, because it seems definitely to be a DiMera at this point. Thursday, November 20th, Justin Kyriakis offers some legal expertise to Jennifer Horton that includes a warning. It could be about how it will be hard to convince a judge to take minor children away from a grieving widower like Chad DiMera, who is a good guy. Justin wants Jennifer to be realistic, but I doubt it's going to come to a court battle. They don't do a lot of big court battles on days. Xander Cook thanks Brady Black, and I wonder for what. Maybe for giving Xander the inspiration to work harder to prove to Sarah Horton he's the man that she wants. Maybe Brady chasing Sarah lit a fire under him. Later, Xander tells Sarah he signed the divorce papers on Days of Our Lives. We know he still loves her, so this may be part of a play to get her to realize that she still really wants him. Jeremy Horton gives Chad some advice. I wonder if Jeremy is going to tell Chad to play nice with Jennifer and give her temporary custody. As Thomas DiMera's teacher, Jeremy may give Chad some perspective and insight on his son that he wouldn't otherwise have. Cat and Rafe hit a roadblock trying to find out what EJ's doing in that super-secret lab and where the money is coming from that's used to fund it. Rachel Black sets her sights on Sarah on Thursday. She knows that Kristen DiMera is out of prison and is hoping for a reconciliation for her parents, so Sarah might need to go. I think Rachel is going to pull one of her classic stunts to get a woman that Brady likes out of his life. On Friday, November 21st, we've got Dr. Mark Green and Dr. Wilhelm Rolf doing some sketchy science. It's the first experiment to break in the new lab, the inaugural sci-fi thing they're doing there. We could learn about the mysterious person in that giant test tube. I do think it's a DiMera, somebody related to EJ, maybe Stefano DiMera. But we know they can't raise the dead unless they recast, as Joseph Mascolo passed away years ago. Rachel may accuse Sarah of making moves on Brady, and it looks like Rachel deliberately triggered Sarah's nut allergy. Brady demands to know what Rachel did as Sarah starts wheezing and going into anaphylactic shock. Kayla Brady is suspicious of EJ, and I wonder if she's going to get a clue about the sketchy lab and where the money, power, and resources are going. Aaron Green tries to pull Sophia Choi out of her current state. It looks like the young man goes to Bayview to see her, and we'll have to find out when Aaron shows up if Sophia is still catatonic, and whether Aaron can get through to her. The week of November 24th through the 28th is Thanksgiving week in Salem. Since Days is fully streaming now, as it has been for the past couple of years, we get episodes on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. We even get episodes on Christmas. They don't preempt anymore, which is super nice. Next week, Theo Carver and Jada Hunter are looking forward to their second date. I know a lot of fans don't like this pairing, and part of the criticism I'm seeing is that Theo's ex, Claire Brady, is Sean's daughter. And of course, he's Jada's ex. It's kind of messy, and there's a big old age gap there. They did cast an older Theo, I think, than the last actor. He looks older for sure, when actually he's supposed to be Claire's age, so it's kind of cringe for some folks. Plus, Jada may still be trying to work Theo to get intel on the DiMeras. Stacey Hajduk is doing double duty as Susan and Kristen. And Susan may have more to say about her premonitions about Stefano. Kristen is worried about how being abducted will affect Rachel and mess up her prison sentence because it'll add on to it unless she can prove she was taken against her will. Tony DiMera swears he was also taken, picked up while at a port of call on his cruise with Anna DiMera. So, I don't know about that. We'll have to wait and see if it's true, or if that is Andre DiMera talking to Kristen. And you know he's behind all this. Dr. Rolf's secret lab specimen is soon revealed. He has big plans for whoever is in that tube. I'm guessing it's going to wind up with a version of Stefano 2.0, but in the tube could be another DiMera who's MIA. Someone like Dmitry von Luschner DiMera or Stefan DiMera. Lots of DiMeras to mess with. Jeremy is pretty annoyed soon because he worked hard on himself. He came to town and immediately beelined to Stephanie Johnson to apologize, and she accepted it. But then she's trashed him to Jada and obviously to Alex, and they accuse Jeremy of ratting out Stephanie's dirty book author secret, which I don't believe he did at all. And then we had that black-gloved person that is causing problems. Jeremy may be facing more heat because of them and might be being framed for attacks on Alex. If you remember, somebody almost stabbed Alex when the Rachel and Thomas pumpkin chucking accident happened. That person was in the same kind of coat that Jeremy was wearing and had the knife. Alex noticed a slice in his jacket later. Chad may indeed compromise with Jennifer, let her take the kids, and leave Salem with Jack Devereaux, and then Chad will join them in Boston after he wraps up some loose ends in Salem. They can all spend the holidays together that way. We are getting a new Chad and a new Thomas in April 2026, and there are going to be some gaps where the characters are off-screen. So, watch for those red flags of their exits coming soon. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, November 20th, reveal that Rachel Black will form a dangerous plot while Rafe Hernandez and Kat Green face a roadblock. Justin Kiriakis will also have a warning for Jennifer Horton Devereaux, so here's what Days fans can expect. First, on Thursday's Duel episode, Xander Kiriakis will offer Brady Black some surprising gratitude. Although Brady and Xander recently had a tense conversation, Xander may admit it gave him a new perspective. Although Xander still hopes for a future with Sarah someday, he needs to keep working on himself and trying to be a better man. Xander can't hold Sarah back from living her life in the meantime, so he'll meet with her about the signed divorce papers soon. Over with Justin, he'll have a warning to pass along. Justin may assure Jennifer that understands her frustration when it comes to this whole situation with Thomas DiMera, but he might also worry she's taking things to an extreme. Jennifer will still end up shoving custody papers at Chad and making it clear that she's ready to go to court if necessary. If Chad doesn't cave in on letting Thomas and Charlotte DiMera live with their grandparents in Boston, Jennifer is prepared to move forward with this legal fight. Gabby Hernandez suggested Chad could try to show Jennifer that he's moving on through Salem Singles, the new dating app that he just joined. Since Jeremy has been hitting the dating apps lately too, he'll have some guidance for Chad. Jeremy may think Gabby's got the right idea and give Chad a nudge to put himself back out there. Since Belle Brady just got matched with Chad on the app, they may make plans for a date soon. Other Days spoilers say Rafe&Cat will struggle with a roadblock when it comes to their E.J. DiMera investigation. Cat and Rafe may run out of leads to pursue, but they won't give up on digging deeper into E.J.'s agenda regarding the new hospital wing. As for Rachel, she'll do some plotting in Thursday's Days episode. Rachel will prove she's a pro at sabotaging Brady's love life when she targets Sarah. It looks like Rachel will make sure Sarah winds up eating a dessert with pistachios on it before the week's over. That should trigger Sarah's allergic reaction and put Rachel on the hot seat soon enough. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Rachel will continue to prove she's a problem child. So stay tuned for updates on any other bad news ahead. Days of Our Lives spoilers hint that Chad DiMera's Salem singles match will be revealed. So he seems poised to go on a hot date with one surprising woman in particular. Let's consider who Chad might be paired up with, at least temporarily, for plot purposes. In Duel's November 18th episode, Gabby Hernandez gave Chad a nudge to download the Salem singles app and put himself back out there. Chad was hesitant, but Gabby pointed out it might help with the custody situation if he showed Jennifer Horton Devereaux that he's trying to move on from Cat Green. After Gabby walked away, Chad indeed looked at the app on his phone. Days spoilers suggest Chad's going to give Salem singles a try, so who will he be matched with? The option that immediately comes to mind is Jada Hunter, since she's all about dating apps right now. Jada and Jeremy Horton swiped right on each other before their own date fell apart. Jada and Theo Carver also met via dating app, so she's clearly shopping around and trying to find the right guy. Theo and Jada ended on a hopeful note regarding their second date, but they obviously haven't made a big commitment to each other. Days spoilers say that's why things could get messy if Jada matches with Chad next. Chad has a close bond with Theo, who may end up feeling hurt and even a bit jealous over Jada's new dating partner for the evening. It's easy to imagine Theo glaring at Chad and Jada as they enjoy their night on the town. That might lead to Theo venting to Ariana Ari Horton and connecting with her on a deeper level instead. Kat might also spy Jada and Chad's date in progress, which could leave her struggling with a little jealousy as well. Of course, there's no guarantee that Chad and Jada are headed for a real Days romance. Chad isn't over Kat and probably shouldn't be wasting Jada's time, so they might opt to go friendly separate ways in the end. Regardless, Days of Our Lives spoilers say the clues are really piling up for Chad's mystery dating partner, so we'll bring you updates on any Jada match news. As the pub closes, a glum and tipsy EJ stumbles outside as Johnny strolls by with Trey. EJ asks to have a look at the baby. He respects their boundaries, but it would do his heart good to see the little guy's face in person. Since Trey's sleeping, Johnny allows it. EJ grows emotional as he peeks into the stroller, but Johnny reminds him this changes nothing. EJ knows, plus he promised Amy he would stay away in exchange for her allowing the adoption. Off Johnny's surprise, EJ declares he'd do anything for him. He also fills him in on Tony going missing and Kristen escaping prison. That just serves as a reminder to Johnny how dangerous it is to be a DiMera. "You're a DiMera as well, son," EJ says. At the apartment, Paulina helps fold baby clothes with an overwhelmed Chanel. The new mom loves and is grateful for Trey, but she's exhausted. Paulina assures her she's allowed to complain and suggests she take time off from the bakery. She also advises her to lean on Johnny and carve out some time for herself. When Paulina goes to make something to eat, Chanel falls asleep on the couch. After accompanying a perp to the hospital, Sean runs into Belle, who's still wearing her gala gown. Over coffee in the lobby, she explains her mother's situation, including the lab error. Thanks to EJ's budget cuts, she beats herself up for ever falling for him, but Sean knows she just wants to see the best in people. Someday, she'll find someone who treats her the way she deserves. He's just sorry that someone isn't him. Belle assures him he was, even if they didn't last forever. Leo finds Chad in the square, typing on his phone, and discovers he's on the dating app. Leo reads his tedious profile, which he calls the equivalent of elevator music. Leo adds some flair to draw in the reader, even if it's not all exactly true. At home, Leo tries working on his missing DiMera story, but Javi's kisses distract him. As they later cuddle in bed, Leo says for the first time in his life, he feels like he's part of a family. He feels like he found his person. Javi feels the same way. "You're my everything." As Kat replies to a text in the square, she thwarts Liam's attempt at stealing her purse, hurting her wrist in the process. He tries to run, but Abe blocks his path. Liam explains he has a kid to feed and begs Abe to stay quiet so as not to send him back to jail. Since Liam didn't actually touch Kat's purse, Abe agrees he didn't technically commit a crime, but warns him not to do anything like this again. Liam promises, Cat says they can forget this ever happened and leaves. Liam promises Abe this isn't the kind of guy he is. Abe informs him of available resources and gives him cash to take his kid out to eat. Liam tries to refuse, but Abe insists. As Chad reads the rest of Leo's edits on his dating profile, he bumps into Cat, who ices her wrist. When he expresses concern, she tells him about the attempted mugging, but she can't be there with him. They exchange longing looks, and she leaves. Chad returns to Leo's whimsical profile. He grins and shakes his head. Yeah, okay, whatever. He taps his phone, sending his profile out to the world. Or Salem, anyway. At the hospital, Belle and Sean share that they're putting themselves out there, dating-wise. They engage in a lingering hug before he leaves. Belle gets an alert on her phone about a new match, Chad DiMera. At the DiMera mansion, EJ leafs through Wuthering Heights and recalls a voice reading it. He cocks his head with a confused expression. Days of Our Lives spoilers and updates suggest that Chad DiMera's match from the Salem singles will soon be unveiled. This teases he is set for an exciting date with one unexpected woman in particular. Let's explore who Chad could potentially be matched with, at least for the sake of the storyline. In the episode of Duel that aired on November 18th, Gabby Hernandez encouraged Chad to download the Salem Singles app and re-enter the dating scene. Although Chad was reluctant, Gabby highlighted that it could potentially benefit his custody battle by demonstrating to Jennifer Horton Devereaux that he is attempting to move on from Cat Green. After Gabby left, Chad indeed took a look at the app on his phone. Spoilers for the upcoming days indicate that Chad will give Salem Singles a shot. So who might he end up being paired with? The first person that comes to mind is Jada Hunter, as she is currently focused on dating apps. Jada and Jeremy Horton matched on a dating app before their own date fell through. Jada also connected with Theo Carver through the same app, indicating she's exploring her options to find the right match. Although Theo and Jada ended their last date on a positive note, it's clear they haven't fully committed to one another. According to upcoming spoilers, this could lead to complications if Jada ends up matching with Chad next. Chad shares a close friendship with Theo, who might feel hurt and a bit envious about Jada's new date for the evening. It's not hard to picture Theo shooting daggers at Chad and Jada while they relish their evening out. This could prompt Theo to confide in Ari Horton, allowing them to bond on a more profound level. Meanwhile, Cat might catch a glimpse of Jada and Chad's ongoing date, which could stir up a bit of jealousy within her. However, there's no certainty that Chad and Jada are on the path to a genuine romance in the Peacock soap, given that Chad may be prone to rebound. Chad still has feelings for Cat and likely shouldn't be taking up Jada's time, leading them to part ways amicably in the end, possibly. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Duel right now. Come back here often for Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, November 19th imply some major moments up ahead on the Peacock soap. A set of parents have some baby blues, while a character supports their ex, and someone keeps the streets of Salem safe. Find out what's set to unravel on Wednesday's show. Below, Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, November 19th. Reveal. Johnny DiMera and Chanel DiMera will struggle with Trey DiMera. Having a baby first come home is no joke, and as Trey also lived with the Hernandez family after he was born, the transition in schedule will be challenging on all levels. With that said, Janelle have wanted to be parents for a long while, so here's hoping all three of them can settle into their new normal with some ease. Read more. Must see Days of Our Lives moments. To me. Week of Nov 17 to 21. Speaking of Johnny, the drama won't end with little T, as his father, EJ DiMera, will try to reach out to him. Didn't EJ promise Amy Choi that he wouldn't be a part of her grandson's life if Johnny and Chanel adopted the baby? With EJ, promises are always made to be broken. Across town, Sean Douglas Brady will support Belle Black. Belle is having a hard time, with Marlena Evans being in the hospital, and while Sarah Horton Kiriakis is trying her best to figure out what's wrong with Marlena, it's been challenging to narrow down a conclusive condition. While Belle and Sean are exes, they are on good terms, so it's nice he'll be by his ex-wife's side for her to lean on. Finally, days of our lives. Spoilers for Wednesday indicate that Cat Green will fend off a robbery. But will this raise any eyebrows? After all, fans know she's an ISA agent with super spy training, but the rest of Salem doesn't. Will she pull a move that will shock someone or question her skills? What storyline are you most looking forward to during Wednesday's show? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to check back with Soap Opera Spy for all the latest Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, rumors, comings and goings, and updates. Days of Our Lives, spoilers for Thursday, November 20th. Find Brady getting a surprising talking to from Xander, while Rachel has new thoughts about Sarah. Brady didn't exactly buy Xander's insistence that he was going to turn into a better man in order to win Sarah, but Xander swore he was getting therapy with Marlena, which means he was as good as cured. Brady's cynicism got under Xander's skin, prompting him to rethink his approach. And now he's got Brady to thank for that. Meanwhile, Rachel's love for Sarah is starting to waver now that she thinks her mom has escaped from jail. Rachel blames Brady, and since Brady has been spending a lot of time with Sarah lately, she must be to blame too. Doesn't Sarah realize that Rachel is the most important person in the world? And if she isn't happy, then no one is allowed to be happy, ever. Jennifer told Chad that his dalliance with Kat made him an unfit father, and she had every intention of taking Thomas and Charlotte back to Boston with her and Jack. She made it sound like a done deal. But when Jennifer consults with Justin, he cautions her that it might not be that easy, especially if Chad lawyers up too, or connects with Jennifer's nephew, Jeremy, who has some advice for his kind of relative. We hope it's not from Jeremy's criminal past. Chad has enough criminals in his own bloodline. Rafe&Cat are working very hard to bring down EJ and the rest of Chad's felonious relatives. What a shame they haven't been able to dig up anything useful. They are starting to get frustrated. However, they also lack any new ideas. In the midst of celebrating its 60th anniversary, Days of Our Lives has been dropping little gifts everywhere. Familiar faces drifting back into town, old ties being tugged loose again, and that shiny in-universe free clinic opening gala, giving everybody an excuse to dress up and cross paths. It's the kind of moment where nostalgia and storylines braid together. And right in the middle of all that energy, Suzanne Rogers quietly stepped forward on social media and reminded people that her own journey, from teenage Rockette to the beating heart of Salem, is one worth pausing for. On the latest episode of Soapy, hosted with an easy, lived-in banter by Greg Reichardt and Rebecca Budig, Rogers slid into the conversation like someone you've known your whole life. They introduced her the way only fellow soap veterans can, with a mix of awe, affection, and just a little disbelief that one person has carried a single character for over 50 years. Once she started talking, though, the headline wrote itself. Rogers traced her steps back to age 17, taking the train from Virginia to New York with nothing but nerve and a pair of green tights, auditioning for the Rockettes with 70 other girls, and somehow hearing her name. I got a telegram to come to Radio City, and that's all it said. Come to Radio City Music Hall, she stated, adding, and they had said that they only picked 3. Oh my God, they only wanted 3 of us. She talked about the thrill of Radio City, the strange loneliness of leaving home that young, and the early lessons she carried with her into daytime. That leading with warmth isn't a performance, it's survival. And then she moved into the part of her story that still lands like a gut punch. The year she battled myasthenia gravis, how the show wrote her illness into Maggie's life, because hiding it felt dishonest, and how stepping back onto set with a face she barely recognized took more courage than any musical theater stage she'd ever crossed. I want to be good in here, she said, tapping her heart. And warm in here. It wasn't a line. It was her North Star. By the time she reached the later chapters, remission, resilience, the friends who stayed close during her cancer treatments, the steady rhythm of showing up for work, because Salem still had a place for her, the conversation felt less like an interview and more like a love letter to endurance. Rogers didn't frame herself as a legend. She let the years do the talking. On screen for 50 seasons, cultural firsts, illnesses fought in the open. A character who grew from ingenue to matriarch without losing her core gentleness. It's a life carved from hard work, grit, and grace. As Days lights its anniversary candles, Rogers' Maggie isn't just part of the celebration. She's the reason so many viewers stayed long enough to witness it. On the November 19th episode of Days of Our Lives, Chanel learned that taking care of an infant is hard and can make parents tired. She was especially unhappy to realize that, even if your baby keeps you up all night, you still have to report for work, particularly if you own the business. Paulina doesn't like to see her precious baby unhappy. Will Chanel's experience prompt Paulina to make a decision that could upend Salem forever? A few weeks ago, Paulina was horrified to learn that Abe's mentee, Liam, managed to graduate from Salem's public schools while being functionally illiterate. She announced that this was a terrible, terrible thing. No one pointed out to her that, as mayor, schools were her responsibility, and she had the power to make changes that might improve the situation. But why bother? Paulina's kids are grown, and, at the time, her only grandchildren were living outside of the city. On the other hand, now it's Chanel who is struggling. Parenting turns out to be something more than just buying cute outfits and taking Instagram-worthy photos. Parenting can be exhausting too. Well, Paulina can't allow her baby girl to be inconvenienced. After all, if Paulina got murder charges against her daughter dismissed, and, when she was in jail, arranged for Chanel to have a full-out Thanksgiving feast, not to mention stolen a snowmobile dedicated to cleaning up Salem streets in order to rescue Chanel from a blizzard, then, surely, Paulina can use the power of her office to make Chanel's motherhood easier. Paulina advised Chanel that one of those Scandinavian countries offers new moms a full year of maternity leave. Well, if it's good enough for Norway, or Denmark, or someplace like that, then it's more than good enough for Chanel. Forget teaching kids how to read. What if Paulina makes it her priority to provide the same benefits to all Salem moms? Starting, of course, with Chanel. Considering how frequently characters get pregnant in Salem, this will likely be a frequently used policy. And where will the money for it come from? Who cares? Being mayor is all about making speeches, showing up at galas, and throwing your weight around, especially for your own family. Accounting is boring. Someone else can figure that out. Paulina will just collect the kudos. Days of Our Lives spoilers photos for the November 20th, 2025 episode tease a busy day for Salem's #1 attorney. Justin is about to have his hands full with representing Jennifer in her fight for custody of Thomas and Charlotte, plus Sarah's determination to divorce Xander once and for all. Justin runs into a lonely Xander in the square. When Justin discusses the custody case with Jennifer, Days of Our Lives spoilers for November 20th tease he'll have a warning for his client. Here are your Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Jennifer Rose is not playing games. She is sure that Chad is an unfit parent due to his inability to stay away from Cat Green. She doesn't care that Chad has told her that she misunderstood the moment she witnessed. That moment put Thomas in danger, and that is all that matters to Jennifer. To that end, Jennifer meets with Justin to have the papers drawn up, but he has a very serious warning. This case could very well go Chad's way. It's very unusual for grandparents to win custody when the parent has never shown themselves to be unfit. As for Chad, he is not sure what to do about the situation and gets advice from Jeremy, who is Thomas' teacher. But is Jeremy the right person that Chad should be taking advice from? Yes, he knows Jennifer well as his aunt and has insight into kids Thomas' age, but Jeremy seems to have quite a few problems on his own he needs to deal with first. If there's one thing that Rachel Black does not like, it's her father dating anyone who is not her mother. As soon as Brady starts to get too close to a woman, Rachel starts to think of ways to sabotage their romance. Knowing her mother, Kristen escaped prison and can't be found, leaves Rachel more bitter than usual, which isn't a good thing when she comes to a stark realization. Rachel can also start to see that Brady is getting a little too close to Sarah for her tastes. Rachel loves Sarah, but she thought that Sarah was just her dad's friend. She can't have her turning into a girlfriend, so Rachel is back in sabotage mode, which is never a good thing. Last time Rachel was in sabotage mode, Ava Vitale ended up gagged and tied to a wheelchair for more than a month. What will Rachel do to a poor, unsuspecting Sarah? For all the sparks flying around Salem lately, a flying pumpkin to Alex's head, the near-miss attacks on him, the way danger keeps brushing past him while he's too distracted to see the shadow behind him, Days of Our Lives feels like it's tightening the screws again. Even Stephanie's stalker poses a danger to Alex, and right in the middle of that rising tension, Robert Scott Wilson stepped off the soundstage long enough to drop a completely different kind of warning. It wasn't about who's gunning for Alex. It was about the kind of threat that creeps in through real life. The scams people fall for when the call sounds just familiar enough. Days of Our Lives. Robert Scott Wilson teamed up with The More You Know for a short Instagram PSA, and the caption made the intention clear. At Robert Scott Wilson is helping us stay informed so we don't fall for common scams. #The More You Know, @Dace Peacock, @Peacock, Duel. In the video, the Days of Our Lives star kept it simple, almost conversational, the way someone talks when they've already seen too many people get hurt. While hanging up on a family member is quite rude, hanging up on someone impersonating a family member is the right choice. Then you can call them back to make sure it's really them. Staying informed about common scams can help reduce your risk of falling for one. The more you know. The message landed. Even the official Days of Our Lives account chimed in with, "Have to be smart." Wilson sent back a light bulb emoji, then tossed a little wink at fans scrolling through the thread. "If your phone's ringing, it wasn't me." Once the clip made its rounds, the comments filled up with that familiar mix of humor, stories, and people swapping warnings like neighbors over a fence. @Casey Loves Fitness jumped in with, "Yes!" prompting Wilson to reply with a pinched fingers exactly gesture and a heart hands sign. Another fan, actor and comedian Andy Francis, added, "I know a thing or two about scams," and Wilson enthusiastically shot back, @Andy Francis, there he is." From there, the thread widened. @Alyssa Ogden 3 wrote, "That's true." One viewer, @Sue.nshine202, offered a whole personal protocol. "That's such great advice to know because I do not answer any of my phones differently. Those unknown callers, be very careful giving out any personal information. The more you know, the more people will feel safe in their own life." Others shared their own odd encounters, like, "Having call display really helps," and "I once somehow got a scam call from my own number." And @Amanda Erica Vasquez sealed it with a simple, "Exactly." By the time the thread settled, it felt less like a PSA and more like a little pocket of community, a reminder that we're all in this together and have to protect each other from scammers. On Days of Our Lives today, Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, Johnny and Chanel adapt to parenthood. Cat has another close call, and EJ has a recollection. In the park, someone tried to snatch Cat's purse. She fought off the would-be thief and laid him out on the ground. As the man tried to flee, Abe arrived and quickly identified the attacker as his mentee, Liam. Cat assured Abe she was fine, save for a slightly injured wrist. Liam pleaded with Abe and her not to call the cops. He claimed he had been driven to desperation because he had a son to feed. Abe reminded Liam he'd already violated the term of his parole by skipping his last tutoring session. Kat admitted Liam hadn't actually had the opportunity to grab her purse, so she was willing to let the matter go. She had also done things she regretted for her family. Abe compelled Liam to apologize to Kat. Before she left, she told Liam he should be grateful for having a good man like Abe in his life. Once they were alone, Abe sternly set more ground rules with Liam. He expected Liam to show up for all future appointments and to drop the attitude. Liam insisted he wasn't a criminal by nature, and again mentioned the difficulties in providing for his son. Abe talked to his mentee about the city resources available for assistance. He offered Liam money so that Liam could treat his son to a real restaurant meal. While Liam refused the money at first, he eventually accepted it. He seemed sincere in thanking Abe for the help. At Johnny and Chanel's place, the couple again struggled with a crying Trey. They had apparently been up most of the night trying to calm him. Johnny decided to take the baby out for a stroll, leaving an exhausted Chanel with Paulina. Chanel confided to her mom that although she was grateful to have Trey in her life, caring for him, along with trying to balance her marriage, and her work at the bakery was overwhelming at times. Paulina suggested Chanel take maternity leave to give herself a breather. Chanel didn't like the idea because she wanted to be a self-made woman, like her mother. Paulina stressed that no one would think ill of Chanel if she prioritized her family. Johnny could also help more, Paulina stated, just as Chanel's father had done when he had worked 2 jobs during her early childhood. Chanel did take Paulina up on her offer for a snack and to take a nap while Johnny and Trey were gone. Later, Paulina returned with the snack to find her daughter sound asleep on the couch. At the Brady pub, Roman chatted with an inebriated EJ. He gave his former son-in-law accolades for the gala's success and stated he wanted to be cordial with EJ for Johnny's sake. EJ asked about the baby shower and lamented that he couldn't be there. When Roman helped a stumbling EJ out the door, they encountered Johnny and Trey. Johnny had stopped by to locate Trey's missing pacifier. Roman went inside to look for the pacifier while Johnny and EJ remained outside. EJ asked his standoffish son if he could take a peek at the baby since he hadn't seen the boy. After a moment of hesitation, Johnny agreed. EJ approached Trey's stroller with a smile and a soft greeting. Johnny cut off the moment and affirmed it didn't change anything between EJ and him. EJ mentioned that he had pledged to Amy Choi he'd stay out of the baby's life anyway. Johnny seemed slightly surprised by the disclosure. EJ told his son that since Johnny was a parent, he would have a better understanding of how fathers would do anything for their sons. Despite Johnny's protests, they'd always be family. And on the subject of family, EJ filled Johnny in on Tony's disappearance and Kristen's escape from prison. Johnny was taken aback by the news. He hoped his relatives were okay, but EJ had reminded him of how dangerous it was to be a Demera. EJ said Johnny was, and always would be, a Demera. Later, Johnny returned home with Trey. Chanel was still asleep, and Johnny concurred with Paulina that she needed her rest. Paulina said Johnny should get some rest as well. She would look after Trey, who had finally fallen into his own slumber. Johnny thanked her, placed a kiss on Chanel's forehead, and retired to the bedroom. Meanwhile, EJ went home as well. He cracked open his copy of Wuthering Heights. As he read a passage, a flicker of recognition crossed his face. In Horton Town Square, Leo met with Chad for a work update. Chad commended his reporter on Leo's latest story, while Leo was quick to assess Chad's down mood. He also spotted the dating app open on Chad's phone. Chad sheepishly admitted he was giving the app a try in order to convince Jennifer he was moving on from Cat. Leo grabbed the phone and perused the profile Chad had made. He declared the love doctor would touch up the boring profile. For Chad's hobbies, Leo changed a night in with a movie to, I'm sort of renovating an old Nickelodeon in a mid-sized city in the Lone Star State, talkies, dog-friendly matinees, even a little buttered popcorn. Can you say yeehaw? Chad balked because none of what Leo had said was true. Leo stressed Chad's objective was to draw the reader in by being witty and engaging. Leo promised Chad that he'd soon be drowning in heart emojis. Later, Chad and Kat ran into each other once again. He asked about her wrist, but she insisted it was only a minor injury and told him about her near mugging. While Kat tried to make a quick getaway, Chad expressed concern. She stressed that she would be okay and that she shouldn't be seen with him after everything that had happened. They wished each other goodbye. After looking longingly at Kat, Chad pulled out his phone. He read more of the profile Leo had written for him. Helps kids find their inner saxophone rock stars. Fluent in movie quotes and sarcasm, this professional overthinker is seeking someone to help me make decisions. Swap right if you can keep up. Chad grinned and conceded that Leo's effort wasn't bad. On cue, he got an alert for a match. At the Hernandez home, Javi attempted to distract Leo from his work with kisses. The effort ultimately proved successful, and the couple basked in their newly found alone time as they fell onto the bed. Later, they cuddled in the afterglow. Leo joked about what he had been thinking, but grew serious and confessed to Javi that he finally felt as if he had found a real family. He called Javi his person, and Javi responded that Leo was his everything. At the hospital, Sean awaited a suspect's release from evaluation. He saw Belle in the waiting area and joined her. Belle opened up about the health crisis with Marlena and the part she felt EJ had played in her mom not getting proper medical care. She again blasted herself for ever falling for the man. Sean comforted his ex about Marlena and told Belle not to be so hard on herself. She wanted to see the best in everyone, which was an admirable quality.